I moved here in the mid-70s.
From where?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
So you grew up in Cincinnati?
Grew up in Cincinnati.
And were you involved in any kind of high school athletics or school sports?
I played a little football, but growing up, my father was the baseball coach. So I played baseball.
So what did you do in Cincinnati before you came here?
I did a lot. My parents owned a restaurant. I started in a restaurant called Carter's Restaurant in Cincinnati, which was, I breaded Kentucky Fried Chicken before it became a franchise for Colonel Sanders. It was called Carter's Kentucky Fried Chicken. And there was a bucket with Colonel, the orange bucket, not the red one they have. So yeah, I started young in the restaurant service and just continued and stayed in it.
So what brought you to South Florida? What made you come down here?
Well, if you've ever been up north in 6 months out of the year, you see no sun or it's gloomy. I came down here on vacation. I said, this is me. I had a great job up there. I left. And the rest is just kind of history because it was easy. When I first moved here, there was only one bar that served alcohol that was gay, and that was the Marlin Beach. It was a hotel where Connie Francis, where the boys are, type thing. You know. All the other bars were beer and wine bars. Every place I worked, I was in the bar business or the food business, and just kept rolling with it. And I've owned guest houses, I've owned hotels, I've owned quite a few restaurants, and so that's what got me started because I worked a lot. And people got to know me. So once I put my name on a sign, they just seemed to come in and treat them well.
And Wilton Manors, what was that like back then?
Oh boy. You know, when I worked at Jeremiah's in the 70s, I used to cut through Wilton Manors. And it was a nice little town. Now we're talking the 70s. And it was a cut through. I would leave because I lived in off of Sunrise, and I'd go up to Commercial. So it was much easier because Federal Highway traffic was busy. And it was always just a cute town. That's all I ever saw of Wilton Manors, cutting through. It was nice, but then as time went on, like anything, the consignment stores came, nurseries and trailer parks right on the drive. But it was kind of running down. That was in the 80s, yeah. 80s, yeah.
So did you ever give thought at that time, maybe that you were going to set up shop and do something here? Or no, just kept on?
No, I did. There was two places. It's funny you ask. They had the greatest stationery store and the greatest little hardware store. And it was all parallel parking. You just pull in and you go into the store, no meters, and you know, that's the only, and I did go to Piggly Wiggly's. And that's in shops of Wilton Manor. And they were open 24 hours, so it was easy to go to the grocery store anytime if you ran out of time. Well, I had worked for a few places. I worked years at Backstreet. I worked for Tacky's. These are the places that I got to know, mentors, 13 Buttons. I was close friends with Frank and Alan from Twist. John Castelli. I mean, I just knew certain people and I saw their lifestyle and I said, well, I like that. And so just saving money and getting people to help me and everything, I sort of did my first place on Sunrise Boulevard, which was called the Fireside. It was a 200-seat restaurant with a fabulous bar. At the same time I owned that, I already owned a guest house called Big Ruby's Guest House. And it was right behind Peach's Records and Tapes, which was a record store. And now it's called The Hustler on Sunrise. Well, I'd gone through all these places, and the last place I worked was Stud on State Road 84. My job was to build it up so he could sell it. And when he sold it, I got a nice chunk of money as a finder's fee or whatever, or to build it so he could sell it and make some money. Took that and I said, no, I'm going to work for myself again. started traveling all over. I must have looked at 10 places in Fort Lauderdale. No one had parking. I went to Wilton Manors, looked at this one spot, and when I saw the empty parking lot, which I hope everybody's familiar with how large that parking lot was, I said, this is the place. We opened that in April of '97. It was called Georgie's Alibi, and we all need an alibi. Why we were under construction, my job with the real estate people, because I didn't have to pay any rent till the day I opened. I had to get everybody's signature on the street to make that an entertainment district from 5 Points up to the bridge by United Dairy Farmers. That was my job. It took me 3 weeks, a lot of persuasion, from these people, because they'd been there forever, and they said, was anything going to happen? I said, not that I know of. And so at that point, I was able to get all the signatures, or most of what we needed for the city council to vote, and that made that the entertainment district.
How long did it take before that parking lot was no longer empty?
The day we opened. Everybody kind of compared it to Cheers, because everybody knew everybody inside. My employees were the best. I mean, I had employees that were there from the time I opened till the time I sold it 13 years later, and they only worked 4 days a week, and they were happy. Matter of fact, softball was prior to Georgie's Alibi. It was at the Club Caribbean Resort on Federal Highway. I was the general manager there, and I had volleyball there, sports, everybody that did anything. And it was a gay resort. And one day I was working, and Walter Johnson, the owner, said, there's a young man here that wants to talk, and you have to talk to him about softball. I said, bring him, where's he at? And that's when Jim and I first met. And when he told me his plan and everything else, I just told him, Jim, I'm in 100%. You tell me what you need us to do, and we'll. And the big thing was create softball teams. And so once we got that, and we went to the other bars, and they formed teams, and next thing you know, we had like 5 or 6 softball teams. And we become competitive and started finding fields to play, and Oakland Park was really the first field that we started playing at.
And what positive things came from that experience within the community?
Creating a community within, a reason to all meet, and it just made friendships, and that's invaluable. You're just like, wow. And it just kept the community together, and not even the ones that played softball, but the ones that didn't play softball. They were so involved got so involved in the league that on Sundays when we played, we had full benches of people watching these games and stuff. So, and it just brought like everybody together. Because I can think back, I worked at the Marlin Beach, and it was just more of the bar scene, not as much as outside the bar scene of what took place. And so this kind of made it like there's more to it than just sitting at the bar. We had no cell phones, so you had to go out. And that's the best part about back then, because, it made the hunt interesting.
So, I've heard from people who've said things like, oh, it was great because it gave us an option to, meeting people at the bars. We got to meet them in other places.
It was a big option because the concession stand had alcohol, they had food, everybody was up there, it was in the afternoon, it was Sunday of all days, and it was just a lot of fun.
And then what did people do after the games on Sunday? Where were they going?
Well, there was always a bar that did a host. And so you'd go to that host bar. And that was big because that was part of the sponsorship, that you go and give back to that bar owner. So we just all made, okay, this week it's this one, this one, this one. And everybody showed up. And then they'd go to their prospective bars of whoever the sponsor was or anything else.
And back then, so we're talking about the early 90s, mid 90s at that point. And there were, the community, there was a lot of unhappiness for good reasons among people in the community. And
Correct.
what did having these teams do for morale for people who were losing their friends and things that were happening out there?
It's almost as if they had more people to reach out to and touch and get some comfort from. And which, we all had a lot of people that we lost. I had a lot of employees I lost that were with me for a long time. But I think it was more of them having that opportunity to reach out to other people outside of the bar and not crying their beer at the bar, but
any idea how many funerals you went to in that period?
I know I did 3 eulogies, and I probably went to 6 funerals of friends. Right off the top of my head, 4 of them were my employees, a lot of customers. And you just hear about it like that through communications because we didn't have our cell phones and media. You'd see it in a magazine.
How did it change perhaps when women started to play, with the men in softball?
I thought it was great. I had, mine was a co-ed team. I had girls on my team and they all played together at the beginning because they didn't have their own venue. Now they do. I sponsor a team up in Pompano called the Pride, and it's a women's team, and that's where they play.
Was that something that you think was something that helped bring people together for the community to have the men and the women spending time with each other?
Yeah, because the women had their followers, their girlfriends, they had and all of a sudden we were just all together. And I had a lot of women at the Alibi, that felt comfortable, straight, gay, didn't, it's just, my mother and father worked there. If I wasn't nice, I would probably get hit upside the head, but it's never happened. I'm always, welcoming everybody. It doesn't make any difference.
Did you find that there were people who, really learned to love the sport or feel good about themselves afterwards? Tell me a little bit about that.
I had many a play. I was all about, you can do this. Just come out. You can do this. And a lot of them did. They just would come out. Even on my team now, I have people, I just started my new team about 3 years ago. I would say 50% of them never played softball ever before. And here 3 years later, they're still playing softball and we're 9-1. That's the fun thing about this. We had so many because we had to get these people because there weren't all these people that were so athletic and everything else. And we took them and we taught them and everything just kept rolling and rolling to where the ones that you took at the beginning are now telling their friends, come out, you'll have a good time. Everybody enjoyed the after parties. Well, that was like a reward. You get out here, you play 2-3 games, you go, and now you're going to, and you're with everybody.
So did the formula work in other cities the way it worked in Wilton Manors?
Not as easy as Fort Lauderdale was, only because of my time prior to the Alibi. Already being there for 20-something years, everybody knowing, not everybody knowing me, but knowing how I am and everything else. But I had to prove myself in St. Pete, and I did. I did it very quickly. Palm Springs, I did, because Palm Springs had a huge Fort Lauderdale connection. So it was nice. I'd see a lot of people out there that lived in Fort Lauderdale. So the word got around, and that was sort of the beginning of that one.
So what are you doing now?
I am the general manager of the pub in Wilton Manors, across the street from the Alibi. I was the consultant that built it 13 years ago. And I lived in Palm Springs at that point. So I came back, I built the bar, did everything. And at that point, when it was done, I went back to Palm Springs and kept running my places out there.
The original bars, the Alibi.
No more alibis in my.
Sure.
Probably the biggest regret I ever had is even selling 2 of them that I had. I wish I would have kept them, but.
I mean, I know you were a go-to person 25 years ago when I needed something to talk to somebody who had institutional knowledge and to talk with authority. You were one of those people.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. It's like Stonewall. It's getting everybody involved. That got a lot of people involved. And when we first did Stonewall, it was 2 days. No fencing, no cover. It was all about the people. The vendors paid for all the overhead. And it was a phenomenal thing. And all it took was $5,000. There's your seed money. Let's go. So that is what makes, that's when I tell you, it's not just me, it was everybody. I mean, I may have gave them that, but they had to do the work. So I give all of them the credit. They're good people. It's almost like I planted a tree and it's grown up and there's all this fruit on it now, and just enjoying it. And a lot of people say, oh, you're the one, No, I wasn't the one. I was the one that maybe you wanted to look at like I did, but it was a whole group of us that made the softball, made the city, there's more people involved instead of me, because one person couldn't have made this whole thing happen.